When a woman suddenly stops wanting intimacy in a relationship, most husbands believe that that's it, that the love is completely dead and gone. But the truth is far more fixable. Her brain has categorized the relationship as emotionally unsafe, and her body is protecting her the only way it knows how. Now, I know that that sounds catastrophic, but it's 100% fixable. And her desire, her burning passion for you, can come back stronger than ever before when you know what to do. Now, in the meantime, I know how painful this can be for husbands. You feel rejected, unwanted, like you're living with a roommate instead of a wife. And you've probably tried everything, being more romantic, helping around the house more, giving her expensive or thoughtful gifts, even having difficult conversations about it to show that you care. But nothing changes. The distance keeps growing, and you're starting to feel like you're not even married anymore. Now, I know that you still love her and you want her, but she seems completely disconnected from you physically and emotionally. And you're questioning if she ever really desired you or if you've somehow become unattractive to the woman that you married. Most husbands call this going into monk mode, just working to provide for their family, but living in a sexless situation without any hope of human warmth. It seems so hopeless to most men that their only chance of sex ever again would be having an affair, but they refuse to do that because they really do love their wife and care about their family. So they start to simply give up, to live in total despair of ever being physically loved ever again. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist, and I have worked with thousands of marriages where intimacy had completely disappeared. And what I've learned is that women don't avoid intimacy just because they stopped loving their husband. They avoid sex because something in the relationship has triggered their nervous system's protective mechanisms. When a woman's brain categorizes her partner or the relationship as emotionally unsafe, her body automatically shuts down intimate connection, even when she consciously wants to connect with you. So in this video, I'm going to reveal the 7 hidden reasons that women withdraw intimacy in a marriage, why these protective responses develop in the first place, and most importantly to you watching, because I know it's important, how to create the emotional safety that allows her nervous system to relax and her natural desire for connection to return more powerfully than it ever has. You're about to understand what's really happening beneath her behaviors and get the roadmap to rebuild the intimate marriage that you both want. And when I say that her sex drive will return, I mean stronger than you've ever seen it. Most husbands who overcome the 7 issues I reveal in this video, especially problem number 7, come back and report that her sex drive is now higher than his sex drive, and he needs some help keeping up. If that sounds like the marriage that you want, do not miss the end of this video where I show you how to fix these problems. So let's dive right in here. I'm going to go through the problems and then show you what to do. Number 1, chronic emotional disconnection. Okay, there's something called emotional starvation. She feels chronically emotionally disconnected from you. Conversations become transactional and surface level. She doesn't feel seen, heard, or understood. Now, why is this happening? She has a very incredibly important bonding hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is sometimes called the love hormone, the snuggle hormone. It does a lot of things. But in mammals, it creates a deep sense of safety, belonging, affection, and then in females especially, drives their sexual desire. Now, if her oxytocin levels are crashing because they're not being adequately cared for, her body starts to decouple desire from connection because bonding and feeling that intimacy feels totally unsafe. In hunter-gatherer societies where our brains are built for, a woman who is emotionally and physically intimate with a man who has no desire for her, isn't sending the right signals, is a woman who's going to get pregnant and abandoned. So her brain is designed to turn off physical connection after the first year, especially if she's not feeling emotionally bonded to you. For her, this begins to feel like simply a business transaction, that you are having sex with her and giving her just barely enough to keep her around for that sex. She knows that when sex becomes less fun, less convenient, you're out. So her body pulls away to make that happen. It's an awful thing for both of you. But It's a breakdown of her arousal mechanism. Sex feels performative or even intrusive and unpleasant inside her body because the chemicals that build arousal simply are not there. Her body refuses to become aroused when emotional connection is missing. Now, a woman's nervous system is designed for survival in mind and maximum safety. Safety, emotional safety especially, is more important than almost anything else. So, physical vulnerability, openness, arousal, intimacy. She can't open her body to someone that her brain has categorized as emotionally absent. Healthy women can't do that. Now, anxiously attached women can do it performatively to please and try not to get abandoned, but eventually that's not enough either, and that will shut down too. Okay? Emotional disconnection might mean coming home and immediately checking into your phone instead of connecting to her. Having conversations that overly cover logistics, schedules, bills, kids' activities, shutting down any personal sharing. A lot of men accidentally do this when they say, my job sucks and I hate it and I don't want to share it with you because I have to relive it and then you'll be miserable. Now she has no idea what you're doing during your day and she feels shut out. A lot of husbands come home and they are emotionally starving, so they just grab a handful and she's been stressed out all day and feels nothing. So it actually makes her physically disconnect from you even more. Now, her physical response, pushing back, is going to hurt you and you'll pull away too. Now you stop having any physical contact because you think she doesn't want you. Physical contact stops. Everything stops. Never asking about her inner thoughts, her world, her dreams, her fears. She starts feeling like a household manager that you've hired rather than a beloved wife. And so her body begins protecting her from any further emotional abandonment. This is one reason women's sex drive shuts down. I'm going to show you what to do specifically about this one because it is usually an oxytocin issue. She doesn't hate your guts. She isn't getting what she needs. If you have zero gasoline in a car, you can't be surprised when it doesn't start. Same thing is true in her oxytocin levels. Now, a lot of younger wives will have that challenge, but wives who've been in a marriage for a longer period of time, it gets worse. Reason number 2 that women pull away is accumulated resentment from their unmet needs. Okay? The resentment process begins to build. She feels an emotional or logistical burden that's not being shared. She's doing too much in her life. She's asking for help. She's not getting it. She's feeling dismissed. The biggest one is when they start voicing that they don't feel emotionally connected to you and they start emotionally starving and you don't do anything about it. Usually because you don't know how, you don't understand, or you start dismissing it. But her brain creates what we call cortisol associations. I'm hurting. I'm exhausted. I'm nervous. I'm worried. I'm overwhelmed. And when I tell you, you don't care. Cortisol association says, when you touch me, my stress response activates because you don't care about me enough to help. Touch becomes a reminder of feeling unsupported and overwhelmed. This is a protection mechanism. Her body reduces sexual connection to protect her from further disappointment. When she's drowning in responsibilities or unmet needs, and you approach for intimacy, her nervous system screams, he wants more from me when I'm already empty. He doesn't care about me, but he's demanding from me. The resentment floods her system with cortisol, making physical touch feel like another demand rather than love. Now, the other side of this, if you're in a relationship where the husband is the primary provider, like most couples, then what's going to happen is when she comes to you with financial things, your brain will say, you're demanding more money from me when you won't even touch me or have sex with me. On the inside, that's what your brain is saying. Her brain is saying much the same in the other direction. You're demanding sex from me when you don't even care about how I feel and how I'm in pain, right? It's resentment. Anger is never a primary emotion, guys. Anger's a secondary emotion when we feel hurt, sad, or scared, and then we feel like the other person doesn't care. We get angry to make them care, to protect ourselves. Now, I'm going to be really clear here. When women are asking for help on things, it's not usually the tasks themselves. I mean, it is, but really, they want to feel like you care about their struggles, that you care enough to act. When she has to ask repeatedly for basic support to alleviate pain, her brain interprets this as, I don't matter to you. Her body won't open up to someone who seems oblivious or uncaring to her pain. leaving dishes around everywhere because you won't bother picking up, not noticing when she's just stressed out and asking how she's doing, treating her requests for help like nagging, being contemptuous and dismissive of her, pushing back, meaner than she is, right? All of that creates a cycle where she says, you don't care that I'm in pain. Maybe you even think it's funny. That's going to squash her sex drive. So resentment, one of the biggest crushes on sex drive ever of everything else. I get asked all the time, what is my attachment style? What is my attachment style? What is my attachment style? So I have finally launched the attachment assessment. This is not a short quiz that just spits out an answer after 3 seconds. This is a thorough, in-depth, science-backed assessment. Check it out on my website, adamlanesmith.com, and learn your attachment style, the severity of what you're dealing with, and some next steps you can take right now to build very secure attachment. Reason number 3, and this is a tricky one, feeling like a sex object rather than a partner. There was a great reel that I saw the other day about a wife whose husband walks by and slaps her on the butt every single time. And she thinks it's funny, but one time he walks by and doesn't do it, and she's actually confused. And then she's sad. And then she's devastated. She's looking at their wedding photo, almost crying. And then he walks by and slaps her on the butt again, and she feels better, right? This happens inside loving, warm, rich relationships. A wife welcomes sexual connection because she doesn't feel like purely a sex object. She loves the connection. Most of them will. Now, when you haven't cared for her emotional needs and her oxytocin levels are rock bottom, when she feels like you don't care about her pain, maybe she doesn't get angry, she's just sad and lonely, now comes what we call the Viking attack approach. Many men in these circumstances initiate intimacy without any emotional connection or escalation. They go from 0 to 300 as fast as possible. Sometimes we call this hitting a deer with your car because you're just slamming into her. Okay? Sudden, jarring, no buildup. Her body is designed to build arousal through emotional connection. Now, if you maximize her oxytocin, she's probably going to be very responsive to you. When you approach this way, when her oxytocin's low and she feels sad, lonely, and disconnected, she feels used rather than desired. Her body's protective response kicks in and her nervous system sends signals that you're not interested in her at all. You got aroused somewhere else, maybe from your phone, work, whatever, biological urges, some hot woman you saw at the gym, and now wants to play it out on her. You're going to use her for sexual release. She begins to feel like a receptacle for your needs rather than someone who's genuinely attracting you, somebody that you actually care about. I am just an object for you to use and discard. Okay? What creates genuine desire? She needs to feel your arousal is specifically about her, who she is, how she looks, what she means to you. Their emotional connection that you shared throughout the day, appreciating her specifically, making her feel like the most desirable woman in the world. Look, a wife who understands her husband knows that men just get biological urges sometimes, and that sometimes it is about the biological feeling. And women who are loved, cared for, cherished, feel safe and bonded, with a partner who attends to her needs and truly cares for her, most of those women are happy to meet the Viking attack needs on those days, because that's not all that's happening. When a wife feels genuinely cherished, specifically wanted, and nurtured, her body responds with incredible desire. You're going to have a hard time, guys. You're going to kiss her on the lips thinking it's a quick kiss, and then you're going to say, babe, I'm going to be late for work, and she's going to say, too bad. Okay? When you build intimacy, that's how it functions. But when you don't, that's gone. Now, up till now, I'm assuming that men are not doing bad things. Up till now, men are just confused. Maybe they haven't understood how it works, okay? Maybe you got a car and you don't understand the fuel that it needs. You don't understand oil changes. You don't understand the system. You don't really know how to rev the engine without redlining it. You're not sure what to do yet. Let's assume that. Reason number 4 is a lot more challenging because it's things that the men are doing wrong, okay? I'm just going to say it. There are threat safety signals in the environment. It's an unsafe emotional environment to her. Reason number 4, her sex drive goes down. Fights that escalate out of control. Vulnerability to you that gets punished or neglected. Feeling like she can't speak freely without being corrected forcefully. Being mocked, being minimized, being dismissed. She feels like she's walking on eggshells because if she says the wrong thing, boom, you come down critically. Her brain begins categorizing you as someone who causes pain rather than provides safety. When your nervous system tags someone as a threat, physical intimacy becomes impossible. So there's a freeze response in this, okay? In an emotionally unsafe environment, touch can trigger a freeze response or even disgust. No! Her body will scream, no! Her body recoils from physical contact because her nervous system is protecting her from someone it perceives as dangerous. It's not that you don't care about her pain anymore. It's that you are actively causing it with your emotional dysregulation. She brings forward a concern, sometimes in a bad way that she shouldn't be doing. Sometimes she's a little disrespectful or confused or she's bottled up too long. And then you blow up. And now you're dangerous and hurtful. This isn't a conscious response usually from women. It's like an automatic protective mechanism that happens beneath their awareness. They know it's there. They can talk about it later, but it's quick. Pull away. Now, what does emotional safety look like? Most men are just confused about this. Emotional safety says she can express herself without retaliation. Her emotions will be heard and validated. Validation does not mean, yeah, babe, you're right. It means I understand how you feel and I want to help you. Okay? And that conflicts will be resolved peacefully rather than escalated. That you're someone she can go to. Guys, I'm going to say this. Most of you probably have jobs. You've had a boss. You want a boss that you can go to and knock on the door, open the door, share a concern, share a frustration, ask a question, or have a small issue and conflict with, and that your boss will be calm, steady, productive, professional, hear you out, care about you, and actually solve the problem with you. Yeah? Why are you offering less than that to the woman in your life? If she can't trust you to be like that, she won't have sex with you for very long. If she shares something vulnerable, if you respond with care, rather than throwing advice at her, for example, or criticism especially. When you guys disagree, when you try to understand, rather than trying to win. When her nervous system feels consistent evidence that she's safe with you, that she doesn't have to tiptoe on eggshells, that's when her nervous system allows physical intimacy to grow. Otherwise, it will shut it off, and it will be your fault. Period. Reason number 5 that a woman's sex drive turns off in a marriage: unprocessed trauma responses. This is where it's not the man's fault. I want to be very, very clear. Sometimes this can be there. I just said that a woman needs to feel emotional safety in a relationship. There are times where a woman's system is so damaged from the past that it can't feel emotionally safe, even with a husband who is providing extensive emotional safety. Trauma triggers in a marriage can be huge. Past trauma triggered by subtle cues that the husband doesn't even realize he's creating. Voice dynamics, his stress levels, his facial expressions during conflicts, they can unconsciously remind her of past pain. Her nervous system, though, can't distinguish between past and present threats. It just knows danger, and it shuts down intimacy to protect her. There's an overstimulation effect here. Trauma survivors often experience overstimulation in environments that feel chaotic or unpredictable. Even a normal household can trigger a fight or freeze response that she might not consciously understand is happening. Her body goes into survival mode. Intimacy becomes impossible because her nervous system is constantly scanning and detecting threats. This is not the husband's fault. This is usually where the husband comes into me and says, she's yelling at me all the time, saying I'm not doing enough, and I've done everything I can humanly think of. I've read every book. I've tried everything. It's sometimes a trauma response, quite often, okay? The unconscious nature of it, though, is the difficulty. She doesn't usually understand why she's shutting down. She might actually want to connect with you. She might actually be mad at herself that she can't. She sees that she's sabotaging, but it won't cooperate in the moment. The husband here needs to understand this isn't about him personally, but he can work to create an environment that feels predictably safe and calm so that she can also do her work learning to self-regulate. So of all the things on this list, I will say that one has nothing to do with him. And the woman does need to do quite a bit of work on that one to resolve that. Ladies out there, I know you're watching this video. You need to self-regulate enough to be able to receive emotional safety and to respond appropriately to what the man is doing in your life. That is your job here, okay? Now, reason number 6 that women often pull away sexually in a relationship, chronic stress and burnout. A lot of women post online about the mental load, exhaustion. Women carry what's called the mental load, remembering everything, managing everybody's schedules, anticipating needs. Inside my Secure Marriage video course, I talk about women fulfilling the Chief Operations Officer role, COO, managing the entire system. When you add parenting demands, work pressures, lack of sleep, her entire system feels overwhelmed and exhausted. And when someone's in this survival mode, libido becomes non-essential. Her body prioritizes survival over pleasure or connection. Now, when a woman's in this chronic stress mode, it crushes estrogen and tanks her oxytocin and other hormones and everything necessary for desire. Her body says, this would be a horrible time to have a child, and shuts down sexual signaling. Even light touch at this time can feel irritating or overstimulating when someone's in this depleted state. She might desperately need a hug, but simultaneously feel unable to tolerate being touched. There's a need here for support. She feels her husband needs to recognize her burnout and actively help reduce her stress load. She needs it. This isn't about doing more chores, by the way. It's about making time to become a true partner who anticipates needs, manages responsibilities, and gives her space to recharge. Inside my How to Build a Secure Marriage course, I talk about the man's role as CEO. Part of that is, yes, the COO needs to be managing the system, but the CEO needs to be monitoring his co-executive and watching for burnout. And if she's burning out, he needs to step in and say, something is off here. I'm calling it. I'm going to help a bit, and we're going to fix the system. I've been married 16 and a half years, and when I see my wife get to that level of stress, I step in and say, there's a system missing here. Let's work on systems. I'm going to build you a system right now that tell me your challenge. Tell me the biggest problems. I'm going to build you a system. I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to craft it for you. I'm going to get it set up. We're going to make sure it's running. And then as your stress comes down, I'll step back and the system will support you. Let me help you. And I do. And her stress diminishes hugely and she feels loved and cared for. Then the system begins operating and it takes 10% of the manual energy she was spending before. Now she feels at peace. I know that a lot of the people watching this show right now have had attachment issues for their entire life. That's why I want to invite every single one of you to check out my attachment repair program. It just might be the jump that you need to go from insecurely attached and lonely and frustrated to fully secure, connected, and bonded in a great relationship like nothing you've ever felt before. Check out my website, adamlanesmith.com, for the attachment repair program. And finally, one of the biggest ones, and it really culminates everything that we've talked about here today. Reason number 7 that women lose their sexual desire inside a marriage: the loss of emotional polarity between masculine and feminine dynamic. This is not buzz talk. I'm going to show you what this means, okay? The polarity shift, when she becomes a leader in the household because you're more passive, dependent, emotionally unavailable, she's forced into a masculine role. If you're not stepping fully into masculine leadership, probably because you don't know how, most men today don't know how, and she has to do it, the sensation of being the man in the relationship turns off your desire for her desire for you. She wants to be pursued and cherished, but she also wants to be in her feminine role. Okay? There's a dynamic here that needs to work. When she feels like she is both the COO, Chief Operations Officer, and then doing half of your job as CEO, her body asks, why do I need him? Why would I have sex with him? He is not responding the way he needs to. He is derelict in his duties. I am the man here. She becomes your manager rather than your lover. Her nervous system cannot simultaneously be in charge of you and desire you sexually. The mother-child dynamic, which is what that is, it kills romantic and sexual attraction. She cannot sexually desire a child that she's taking care of. She can't. And I'm not saying men out there are children. I'm saying that men are not being taught how to step forward into a masculine role in a way that's honest, loving, proper leadership. The closest thing most men get is red pill gurus yelling at them to treat her with garbage and disdain and treat her like trash and order her around and make her jealous. That's what a lot of men are taking because that's all they can get. No, the CEO, COO marriage model that I teach inside my course, this is the answer. When a husband learns to apply a CEO mentality, Chief Executive Officer, into his home with proper leadership, masculine leadership, he's honoring his wife's strengths and insights, treating her like a co-executive, but he's operating as a full CEO. The polarity that this creates draws natural attraction from her. It doesn't just get restored, it maximizes it. Most couples who use this model, they see dramatic changes in intimacy within weeks of implementing this model because it allows her to step back into her feminine essence where desire naturally lives. It unplugs all the issues that are happening here. The CEO steps in and resolves all 7 problems from this video, and the COO thrives in her role, and then true passion and intimacy comes to life. Now that you understand the key problems that are facing your wife's libido from this video, and that they're systemic rather than hopeless, meaning the problem is in your system, I want to show you how to repair the system that's suppressing her natural desire for you. This is going to take place in 3 key phases. Now, my clients, when they come in to work with me or my coaches, these are the 3 phases we walk them through. I'm going to show you in this video what that looks like. Phase 1, improving your masculine presence. Masculinity is a stabilizing and protective force. When fully unchecked and unchained from ethics, morality, or kindness and empathy, without purpose, it can be destructive, sure, but when it has those things, it is stabilizing, containing, and protective. Now, to have that, you have to be emotionally disciplined. Emotional discipline means you have command of your emotions. Not that you don't feel them, but that they don't overwhelm you. Most men will read Marcus Aurelius and read Stoicism, and they like that. Emotional discipline is implementing Stoicism. You feel, but then you say, what does this information tell me? And what's the proper response in alignment with my goals and my values? That's emotional discipline, not being governed by your feelings, but pausing, reflecting, responding. Okay? That's what it looks like. This is the number 1 most desirable trait that secure women are looking for. Now, emotional discipline allows her to feel safe in your presence. She no longer fears judgment, criticism, rejection, punishment, abandonment. It's you going and knocking on the boss's door and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's got your back. Now, women respond positively toward emotionally disciplined men, which is an understatement. Women respond with aggressive libido, desire, and connection toward emotionally disciplined men. They say, why can't my man be like that? I hear that a lot. Okay. This allows them to exit survival mode completely and enter a resting and receptive mode, what we call feminine mode. Okay. In phase 1, you have to root out any insecurity in your own attachment, resolve any trauma responses that are causing you to react poorly, learn to manage your emotions, and learn to build that masculine presence. This is not about catering to her. This is aggressively removing the negatives in you that is harming your family, harming both of you, in fact. This is the essence of protecting, aggressively rooting out your weaknesses so that you are a stronger man and your family benefits. In other words, this means building a secure relationship for you and for her. The marriage course that I talked about, and it's going to be linked below, will give you the exact blueprint to do that. This is the only way to first make her feel safe enough to open up sexually to you again, even if it doesn't kindle her desire right away. That will come in phase number 2, which is we call rebuilding the oxytocin pipeline. Oxytocin, that love hormone, maximum effective for the female sex drive. If you've been looking for a female Viagra that you can just give her and say, hey, babe, take this, right? This is oxytocin. It is female Viagra. I lay this out in depth inside the course, but I'm going to go through very quickly what the oxytocin pipeline means for rebuilding for her. The oxytocin pipeline looks like this. Number one, building emotional safety so that she can be open. Number two, then building emotional closeness, where you're actually talking, sharing, nurturing. It is crucial that she have that. She cannot begin that till she's safe, but then she'll begin emotional closeness and sharing with you, and you can share with her. Next comes non-sexual touch, where she starts desiring that touch with you, and physical skin-to-skin touch releases tremendous oxytocin. Actually, you'll see a lot of women touch their own face if they're stressed out or concerned. Even they sleep like that quite often because that releases oxytocin through the face and through that touch, okay? Non-sexual touch grows more oxytocin. Now the meter's filling up. Now we reach a place where desire really begins. Sexual touch. Now comes that point where she wants you to slap her on the butt. She wants you occasionally to do the Viking attack. She wants you to see her and feel her. She seeks you out. She might initiate kissing, making out. She might rub against you playfully and flirt with you. This is where flirtation really begins. After sexual touch begins foreplay. Foreplay is where you're moving in the right direction. You're getting under the clothing. You're getting hotter and heavier, and you feel like you're moving in that direction. Notice that sexual touch and foreplay are different, and we don't go from sexual touch, like slap on the butt, to full intercourse. That's Viking attack, okay? Sexual touch, foreplay, moving in that direction. It builds oxytocin for both of you. This leads up to actual sex. Now, during sex, as you've built the oxytocin pipeline, her oxytocin goes incredibly through the roof. Every orgasm she has, I'm hoping you're giving her those, you better be. Every orgasm she has gets easier because oxytocin contracts the uterus. So she needs the oxytocin even to get there. And then the more that you give her, the more oxytocin floods to create more contractions. So you are now biologically overwhelming her with love and oxytocin for you. Afterward is incredibly important. It's called aftercare. She is flooded with it, and she is optimized to maximize more oxytocin by snuggling with you, talking with you, sharing about her day, nuzzling you, kissing you, touching you, all of that stuff. Most men at this point are exhausted and they're flopped like a dead fish, or they jump up to go make a sandwich or go about their day, right? No, aftercare. Maximize her oxytocin, because then it circles back around to emotional closeness. Repeat that cycle for a more powerful effect, growing with each loop. Imagine your ridiculous loop like this going over and over and over and over. This sparks incredible sexual desire in her. She feels connected and adored. Her brain says, sex is the best thing on the planet. I need more. Okay? This is the long-sought female Viagra right here. But it has to be cultivated rather than prescribed. Now, phase 3, we're not done yet. Phase 3 that we do with our clients is building the polarity. Men and women are meant to operate in complementary roles, the CEO-COO model that I talked about. When we fit into this masculine-feminine dynamic to reinforce her sense of safety, it boosts her oxytocin pipeline. It sets you up as the leader in her life with ultimate trust and respect because you're worthy of it. This creates an extreme desire in her to bond with you. It creates immense ongoing sexual reaction to your presence. You walk in the room, she sees you, she throws her book out of her hands and tackles you to the floor. You're not even safe in your own house. My clients who build this polarity report that their wife initiates sex twice a week after just 2 to 3 months. And after 4 months, the men are emailing me, asking me how to improve their own sex drive so that they can keep up with her constant desires. Now, everybody out there who's watching, men and women, ladies, I know you're watching, my marriage course goes fully in depth on all of these phases to help you see the exact blueprint and to speak the exact phrasing that needs to be heard and believed and taken seriously as you walk through this rebuilding process together. If something's broken in the relationship, it's not just about building the oxytocin pathway, it's about actually repairing the damage first so that you can then layer on top. In that course, women are already writing in telling me that taking the course as a couple has transformed the way they see their husband. It has increased their desire, their trust, and their bonding. It has increased their sex drive. So get your copy now. Anybody who's watching this and wants to build the sex life of a lifetime. All right, guys, I'm going to say this. If your wife is avoiding intimacy, please understand this isn't about you not being attractive enough or her not loving you. It's almost always about her nervous system protecting her from what it perceives as emotional danger, burnout, and disconnection. The good news is that when you create genuine emotional safety in your marriage, and when you go through those 3 phases, her natural desire for connection and intimacy can return stronger than ever before. The woman who still loves and adores and desires you is still in there. You just need to let her come out to play. And when you do that, by making her feel safe in your presence, by rebuilding the oxytocin pipeline and stepping into your role as the CEO of your household, that's where you'll find her. The biggest takeaway I want you to remember is this. For most women, emotional safety must come before physical intimacy. When she feels truly seen and valued and emotionally secure with you, her body naturally opens up to physical connection. This is about becoming the kind of husband whose presence makes her nervous system feel calm and safe. And you can do this. It just requires that you know how. Listen, every day that you wait to fix this intimacy problem, the emotional distance grows wider. Right now, your wife's nervous system is getting more convinced that you're unsafe. Tomorrow, that gap becomes harder to bridge. But when you understand the complete system for rebuilding emotional safety and secure attachment, everything changes. My Secure Marriage course gives you the exact methods to reverse this process, to create the safety her nervous system craves, and restore the passionate marriage that you used to have and want to have again. Don't let another month pass feeling rejected and unwanted. Get the complete course at adamlanesmith.com or in the description below. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Ladies, I would love to hear from you in the comment section. Here's some encouragement. Would this system work for you? If your husband did this, how many times a week would you jump on top of him? Let the guys know in the comments. I need this feedback because the guys need to scroll down, they need to see it, and they need to say, wow, I'm going to give this a shot. Okay? Give us that feedback. Guys, talk to me. Does this system feel like it's going to work to you? Give me your skepticism. Give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. And then give it a try and then come back and correct that comment and tell me how it actually worked, because I know it will. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, support the channel, and I will see you in the next video.